Hello, good evening, and welcome to a fresh edition of Game On here on News Central Television. My name is Babatunde Koiki. I'd like to give you a warm welcome to what promises to be a very interesting show, because earlier today, even before the cock started crowing, even before Muslims headed out to pray the early morning prayer, the Nigerian Football Federation, like a thief in the night or a thief early in the morning, announced the new manager of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now, if you haven't heard of him before, his name pretty much rhymes with La Bamba, also rhymes with Ijora Badia, but it depends on what part of the country you're from. We do have a new coach for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and that's according to the Nigerian Football Federation, and he's just going to take charge of the team just a few days before two crucial 2025 AFCON qualifiers. So we're talking about that and a bit more later on the show. But don't forget, we're streaming live on social media handles at News Central TV, and of course you can join us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever tickles your fancy. It's right there on your screen, and the handle is at News Central TV. And of course, we're coming to you on channel 422 on DSTV, channel 274 on Star Times, and we are coming very, very soon to GoTV. So do not blink, because we might be in your living room very, very soon. It's a packed house today, and that is how it should be, because we are discussing matters of national importance. To my far right, looking as dapper as the occasion demands, is Okpe Adebari. Joins us tonight. Okpe, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Loads to talk about in the world of sports.
Oh,
today.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. None more key than the appointment of Bruno Labbadia.
Yeah, eventually. I mean,
We'll get to it in due course, yeah. But also joining us tonight is another man who I'm absolutely pleased is in the studio, because he was a former media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. He's worked with at least more than two, at least two Super Eagles managers, minimum, that I know of. And also, he's also a former special assistant to the former Minister of Sports Development. I'm talking about none other than Toyin Ibito. He joins us tonight as well. Thank you so much for coming through, Toyin. Thank you, because this is the night we actually need you to unpack a few things for us.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm happy to be here, and like Okpe said, thank God that at last the Eagles are not without a manager. Whether it's the right time or not is a different issue.
But what if it's the right manager or not?
Well,
that's also a different issue.
That's a different issue altogether. Time will determine whether it was the right decision or not. But I'm happy to be here and see how we unpack what looks like a very loaded Game On edition. Okay.
Well, another man who's in the studio with us is another man who, well, he's champing at the bit because he cannot wait to start digging. Wale Adigun, podcaster extraordinaire. Another man who is also not particularly, Wale, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we have a new Super Eagles manager. For some reason, I don't understand why you look morose. Oh. That should be, it should elicit some happiness from you.
While men slept, the NFF were cooking in the lab and produced Labadia.
Oh, wow. In the words of a certain Nigerian musician, we never saw this one coming. We didn't see this one coming.
While we slept, the NFF were cooking in the lab.
It was out of the blues.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll get to that in pretty short order, but let's really get some interesting stories out of the way. First to the world of athletics, where the World U20 Athletics Championships kicked off today in Lima in Peru, and Team Nigeria are already making the mark. An 18-member squad departed this country and are currently in South America with some of the nation's most promising young athletes who are poised to make an impact on the global stage. And of course, results are coming through as well. Prestina Ochonogor, we hear she's in the final of the women's long jump event. A few other updates coming through as well, Wale?
Oh yeah, Prestina, fantastic jump, 6.28, second best, so far so good. She's qualified for the final, which puts her in a very good position, for a podium place. And there's also, Prestina also had a good outing at the Paris Games as well.
Decent for a young athlete who's competing in her first Olympic Games.
17 or 18, I think.
So it looks like momentum is on our way. And there was also easy qualification for Israel Okon, our Nigerian champion in the 200, but this time around it was in action in the 100. It's qualified for the semi-finals. Jocelyn Akpobeo. Yeah, she also has progressed into the semi-finals. I think she came third in her heat. And interestingly, it was Mabel Akonde who did it for Great Britain, won that that heat, but
Mabel Akonde won the heat for Great Britain.
Yeah, for Great Britain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Justina came third, and that was enough to get her into the semi-final. So that's what we have so far, so good from Lima. And it's looking Chioma Cynthia couldn't make it. I think she finished 6th. And I think our 4x100.
Yeah, 4x400 mixed.
They also missed out on qualification.
Wow.
Finishing third in their group, but
their time wasn't good enough to make it through
to
to the final. So I think that's. Then interestingly, I came across a Nigerian doing it for South Korea. His name is
South Korea?
Yes, his name is Jin Nwamadi. So he's born to a Nigerian father and a South Korean mother. And his father actually has been documenting his growth.
Rise, his
yes,
growth.
right, yeah. And that was very interesting to see. And in fact, he's in the 100 meters final already for South Korea.
It's not surprising, actually, because, I mean, you look at the fact that there are lots of Nigerians all over the world, and so many of them settle in many of these countries where they find greener pastures, start a family. It's inevitable that you find Nigerians
everywhere.
I mean, there are also, I believe at the last FIFA under 20, no, actually at the Olympic Games, there were
Japan,
the Japanese men's football team.
The Japan basketball team.
True.
Also has a lot of Nigerians in.
And I think it's a thing of
The
pride.
Italian volleyball women's volleyball team had a Nigerian.
We are all over the place.
It's a thing of pride for me, honestly.
Nigerians are everywhere.
That you can find Nigerians excelling.
If there are at least 2 people in any place, a Nigerian
Nigerian.
Nigerian can find his way there.
Well, anyway, throughout the week, the 18-member Nigerian team, comprising of 8 men and 10 women, will be competing in various events, including the 100 meters, the 200 meters, 400 meters, 400-meter hurdles, 800 meters, the 4x100 meters, and 4x400-meter relays, along with the long jump and the high jump. So we'd like to wish Team Nigeria athletes who are in Lima, Peru for the World Junior Championships, the World Under-20 Athletics Championships, all the very best. But you still get the impression that there's a lot to be done back home in Nigeria in terms of proper athlete development, facilities development as well, for many of these athletes in order to be able to train and bring out their very best so that they can compete for Nigeria at the highest level. Wally, you want to say something?
I wanted to also say congratulations to Justina Yakobian.
Yeah.
She's now in the NCAA system.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Justina Ochonogor too, actually. Prestina Ochonogor.
Prestina Ochonogor, yeah.
She's actually and Olayinka Olajide as well.
Let me be honest with you. When I was there watching those guys, their performance was fantastic. They just need a little bit encouragement from some of my colleagues if they can join me to help those kids. So we're going to go back to the best in Africa. We're going to go back to the best in Commonwealth. All over the whole world, the first priority all over the world is education. It's not in their own agenda, not talk of sports. I'm talking about the politicians. They should pardon me for what I'm saying. So sports is not in their agenda that, oh, let's encourage sports. So that's why we went to the last Olympic, we didn't win nothing. Since that time we've been going through the politician, we can never win anything about sports. Any federation, they have to put somebody who knows about the sports. Like in table tennis. If you want to appoint somebody, please let them put somebody who knows about table tennis. So then when he's talking to us, we know what he's talking about. We will listen. We say, okay, we need equipment, we need training, we need outside training. So the other party will understand.
Bona fide Nigerian sporting legend at Tonda Musa. Gentlemen, seeing that man, that is a name that at one point was probably the most, if you called it probably 10 Nigerian names, this name would definitely stand out. Multiple winner of the African Games table tennis event, Commonwealth Games winner as well. He won countless tournaments in Nigeria. And of course, Tony, you would remember him and that timeless rivalry with him and Yomi Bankole. I mean, those were contests that left everyone spellbound, packed arenas just to watch these two men go at it. And you look at the fact that the likes of Tonda Musa and Yomi Bankole have gone, and we can only boast of an Aaron Okodri who is really at the highest level, and there's no true rivalry, no true development, I don't know, but the man is just saying what all of us have always said, that Nigeria needs to take grassroots sports development, in his case, grassroots table tennis development, very seriously.
Absolutely. I mean, those days, table tennis boards were everywhere. Yeah. Every street corner.
Benches.
The game is very easy to follow, very easy to understand and play. So it gave a lot of opportunity to young people. I mean, sockaway platforms.
Yeah, septic tanks,
everything.
Dining tables,
benches gave you an opportunity to play the game. So it was very easy for you to find kids in street corners getting involved in the game, and then it was everywhere. And then the rivalry of Tonda Musa and Yomi Bankole, I mean, gave an extra push to it. Tonda Musa was one of the, first generation of genuine superstars that sports produced in this country. And I'm happy that he's coming back to try to give back.
It's interesting you say coming back because he's lived in the United States of America for many years. For quite a while.
I'm happy that he's coming back.
64 years old now.
Yeah, he grew up, came out of this system. So I'm happy that he's coming back and trying to establish something to give back to the game that made him so popular. But, you know, as I said, it's not a one-man effort. It needs a whole lot of support from those who also play the game and have, moved abroad and have the means to support table tennis at the grassroots level to come back and help. Things are different from what they used to be. You don't have table tennis on the street corners anymore. True. You don't even have them in schools anymore. So we really need to get deep down to the grassroots. And as we've said on this show so many times, when we want to go for international competitions to expose these young ones, we usually run into problems with funding. Yep. So these are some of the issues that we need to... When you become a champion in Nigeria and you don't have the opportunity, because the game has evolved. Yeah. When you are a champion in Nigeria, you are a champion in your street, and you don't have an opportunity of playing with people from other streets, or playing with people from other countries, you do not have a true measure of your abilities. So these are the things that we need to factor in this process of grassroots development of table tennis in Nigeria.
I need to come to you because... believe it or not, there's actually scientific evidence that table tennis is one of the best sports that children can learn. It teaches hand-eye coordination as well. Brain development is through the charts. And we've talked about how having a proper synergy between the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Sports. Maybe we should also even bring in the Ministry of Health into this conversation as well, because if this is a proven way of getting the very best out of young children, maybe this is the way to go. Definitely, especially kids who have this disability called dyslexia, especially kids who find it difficult to, focus. Kids are finding it difficult to focus, kids that have a very low attention span. It really does help a lot. But, I think we need reorientation as a nation. We need to understand that sports is not a distraction. Rather, sports and education actually a key part of development. It's a very, very key part of child development. What is the point of a child going through school, any form of school at any level, and not coming out as a complete child? How do you make a complete child? Sports needs to be an integral part of that. So I think we do need reorientation as a nation. When we understand that sports and education need to go hand in hand, it needs to be a marriage. It's symbiotic. It needs to be a symbiotic relationship. Okay. Once we do understand that, then these different ministries can come into place and things will be a whole lot more better for us. Well, is it a case of putting the cart before the horse or the horse before the cart? Which one should come first? Policy?
Still forget policy. See, the truth matter is, I know this guy is a legend, yeah. I mean, but I also think it's not right. I think that we're taking grassroots table tennis seriously. I mean, the Ashojoba table tennis competition has been an enduring competition that has lasted, for years, for decades. We have more as well. He has also joined the fray. What is missing is coaching. What is missing is harnessing of the talent. Do we have talent? Yes. See,
do we have enough tournaments?
See, forget enough tournament. Do we have enough coaches? If you run a Google search on where's the best place to train for table tennis, the number one place you get is China. Now, the Chinese from kid level dedicate at least 8 hours to training every day. 8 hours to train every day. And that is how they start till they become pros.
And in fact, kids who are hardly even as tall as the table already, they are barely as tall as the table. They can already play quite well.
See, we need once you go to the grassroots, they need to be, the clips you are watching, you could see that they are still rough, they are growing up. And this is the time that you can start coaching them. So if they become 18, 19 and you start coaching them, it's too late because those who started getting quality coaching at the age of 5, 6 already have a 5, 10 year head start.
The WTT contender event, the Chinese bring their 15, 14 to participate because they believe that's the level where that's where you get them exposed. And they play up to the semi-finals, some play up to the finals. Yeah. So that's what we're saying. I mean, at this level, you are already close to being a world champion. Yeah. The Chinese are already dominating at this level. So I agree with you, Wale, about what you said. We need, it's a long chain. It's like a baton. You pass on, you do your beat, you pass on the baton to another person to do his own beat. When we have coaches that can train children, and then we make them useful at that level from primary. The board that they use for primary school tennis is a small kind of board. Yeah. By the time you master it, and you are on a bigger board,
it's much easier for you.
It's much easier for you.
So guys, when we are ready, we will start now looking for coaches and bringing in the Chinese, the English,
exactly,
and come and
which is what I was just going to ask Thiem. I mean, you've worked closely in the ministry. If let's say you are still special advisor now, and this was put on your table, would you be advising that we move Nigerian coaches to China to go and learn the sports and come back and train, or can we be bringing Chinese coaches wholesale to that? I mean, there are lots of Chinese nationals in Nigeria already.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
If you observe the last Olympics, a lot of the Chinese players who couldn't make the Chinese team.
Play for other countries.
For that country. So there could be an exchange program. You can get some of these talents to come and train your coaches, or you could move your coaches to go and train in China, whichever one that works.
If it was a case of cost, now they said that we don't have the money. So
you can bring
them.
You can bring them in to train your coaches. That could be a sustainable way of doing it. Or you could get, your coaches to go there and stay for a few years, understand the rudiment and the basics, and then come back and impact on
the top 3 coaches in the world are Chinese. Marlin, Kong Ligui, and the other guy. See, once you take our coaches there.
But do you understand the trend? I mean, at the last Olympics, you saw a trend. You saw Romanians, Swedes,
Germans,
French, competing favorably with
the Chinese. Yes, true.
In the men's category,
in the men's category,
the Europeans showed their hands in those Olympic games.
So we saw that first time at the WTT contender. When it came to the men's final, it was an all-German final.
No, but at that one you can understand that the Chinese
didn't come. They
didn't send their best hands.
They didn't send their best guys.
But then again, I think one other aspect is that we don't actually have interest in coaching as a nation as well. I don't think we give
invest in coaching.
Exactly. So investing
particularly
in coaching is something
at that level.
At grassroots level.
Yeah, because that's where the basics.
Coaching at grassroots level.
Maybe it's a mistake that we make in Nigeria where we think that once you're a coach, you're good enough to coach any team. But there are specific coaches who are youth coaches,
it's like sending a professor to come and coach in a primary school. You make a mess of it.
Of course.
One more thing. How about harnessing the interest of coaching as well at grassroots level? That's a different aspect.
That's
the key. That is as key as discovering the talents. Because if you discover the talents and they are not properly coached at that level to learn the basics, you waste those talents. So as key as getting those kids at that level is getting the right kind of coaching.
Coaching is
You
crucial.
know, I understand a few things about primary school coaching and other things. Sometimes what they do is not
It's so basic. Yeah, it's so simple.
Throw,
Yeah.
just the throwing.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so basic. So teaching at that level is a different kettle of fish altogether. We have to get coaches who understand what it means to train at that level.
Before we can even begin.
And then we know we are in business.
Okay. I think the gentlemen here have said everything quite succinctly, that we still need to do quite a lot of investment in terms of coaching, and before we can talk about true grassroots development. Let's move on very quickly on this part of the show, because there's a lot of football to talk about. A British teenager born to Nigerian parents is officially the fastest 100-meter sprinter in the world for teenagers after he smashed the previous record and set a staggering new time. Divine Iheme, who is 14 years old and is probably the quickest teenage athlete at that tender age, laid down a new milestone as he clocked a blistering 10.30 seconds. Lightning Divine was singled out as a likely track superstar of the future after recording UK best times for the 100 meters and 200 meters in April this year. He also beat his best 100-meter effort in June with a time of 10.65 seconds and has crossed the line even faster, only to miss out on the record books due to wind-assisted races. However, his incredible feat at Lee Valley this week will definitely go down in history. 14 years old, they're running 10.30 seconds.
Look at the names on the screen.
Scary.
Look
Nigerian.
at those names.
Ade Adewale,
David Eziama.
Jonah Foloko, most definitely.
David Eziama.
David Eziama. Look at those names.
There's a problem, gentlemen.
It's not a problem, honestly. You guys see there's a problem. It isn't. So most of these kids were born over there.
Yeah.
No.
We're not contesting
What
that.
he's saying is that he's talking about the ability of the average Nigerian.
Yes.
The quality of the average
quality is
Nigerian.
there. Yeah, the quality is in the genes.
And I'm saying
It's
that
in the
these
genes.
quality Nigerians
Are not running for Nigeria.
are not running for
They
Nigeria.
are not trained by
Okay,
Nigeria.
Tunde, what does Nigeria have to offer them?
It's not what we're talking about.
You know.
But I'm amazed that a 14-year-old is doing 10.3.
That's amazing.
10.3
That's
will
amazing.
get you to the semi-finals of the Olympics. 10.3. There were some 10.3 around the second round of the Olympics, the main Olympics.
That's
So
incredible.
10.3.
And Tunde, once again, we have Nigerian
Usain Bolt is in trouble.
we have Nigerian 14-year-olds here who can do that.
True,
They just need to
definitely.
be exposed to this.
Identify.
On which track?
That's what I'm saying.
that's
They need
the-
on which
exposure.
track?
They need a quality environment to train.
They need coaches,
On which
quality
track?
coaches.
Because one of the biggest
at the making of champions that there was someone who was racing with
bare feet.
barefoot.
Yeah,
and it was
bare feet.
and it was beating athletes who are wearing track spikes.
What's her name? Imalbon.
Yeah.
Imalbon.
Oh yes.
Oh,
yes,
Yeah, she did that as well.
Was discovered running without
Barefoot,
shoes
yeah.
in Akwa Ibom.
And one of the-
And she beat the reigning 400 meters women champion at that time,
Patience Okonjo.
George.
It's interesting, gentlemen, because it's one of the things we're going to be talking about in future courses of this show, about the dilapidated structures that exist in Nigeria and how a nation expects these athletes to perform at the highest level when you don't even have basic facilities for them to train. It's something I will be talking about in just a few more days. But still moving on, let's talk about the Paralympic Games, which kicks off tomorrow night. And organizers of the Paris Paralympics have announced that over 2 million tickets have been sold as the Games prepare to begin. The remaining 500,000 unsold tickets for the Paralympics, which gets off underway tomorrow. I think that's around 1 a.m. Nigerian time. That's when the opening ceremony will actually take place in central Paris. And the best-selling events are blind football, taekwondo, track cycling, shooting, triathlon, and equestrian. Organizers put more tickets on sale on Monday for the most in-demand events, which will take place in venues such as Grand Palais, which proved a hit when hosting the fencing and taekwondo events during the Olympic Games proper, and the grounds of the Palace of Versailles. Many of these sites have been adapted since the Olympics to make them more accessible to people with reduced mobility. And finally, on this part of the show, let's tell you that Dominic Thiem's Grand Slam career came to an end at the US Open on Monday on the same Arthur Ashe court where he won his only major in 2020. The injury-plagued former world number 3 went down 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 defeated by American 13 seed Ben Shelton, his 8th first-round exit at his last 10 slams. Thiem had already announced his intention to retire from tennis on home ground in Vienna in October, giving up on his fruitless battle to fully recover from a persistent wrist injury. When Thiem captured his first slam by defeating Alexander Zverev from 2 sets down at the 2020 US Open final, it appeared that he had finally poised to challenge the likes of Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal at the highest level. It also ended a sequence of 3 defeats in 3 Grand Slam finals to Rafael Nadal at the 2018 and 2019 French Opens, and against Djokovic in 5 sets at the 2020 Australian Open. Wally, this injury never really helped this gentleman. He was one of the most talented players in the circuit, but and he won his only Grand Slam during a injury, a COVID hit.
Oh yes,
2020, where there were no fans. You know, and he finally gets a bout. What a story to bout.
Quality player, but I mean, it reminds me of Juan Martín del Potro, who also had injuries with his wrist as well, but could only do, I think, 1 slam as well. And Thiem, fantastic on the clay court, was good on the hard court as well. Those 3 finals they lost to the Grand Slams would always haunt him. I think he did Djokovic once, then Nadal twice, but he was a good player, steady on his day. Lost to Ben Shelton, who was easy work for the American. And I think you can look back and say, I've had a decent career, you know.
Of course.
Yeah.
So French Open finals.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
How many
one Australian
to
Open
win
finals?
one Grand Slam?
How many of them get to the Slam?
And when you look at the generation in which you've played, and you know that you lost to a Novak, you lost to a Nadal. And
There's no shame in it.
There's absolutely no shame in it. You can be proud of what he was able to achieve. Unfortunately, injuries are not kind to athletes, particularly when it has to do with your
wrist, knee,
and that's what you
ankle.
use for your sport. So you can be proud of what he's been able to achieve.
Interesting insight, gentlemen. It's the fact that there are some excellent athletes who, by virtue of being in the wrong generation, never really get to make it to the top. A case in point is the like of there was a Dutch goalkeeper who was regarded as one of the very best in the world. His name was Ronald Waterroos. He kept for Feyenoord, I believe, but he also happened to be in the same generation as a certain Edwin van der Sar.
Like Mark ter Stegen being in the same generation as Manuel Neuer.
There you go.
So
there it is. So the likes of Dominic Thiem, like Tony rightly said, they can take solace in the fact that there's no shame losing to Rafael Nadal, no shame losing to Novak Djokovic, and also the fact that they finished with at least 1 Grand Slam title.
Grand Slam is
huge.
It's a major testament to a wonderful career. You're also watching Game On. We'll take a short break. We'll be back to discuss everything, including Bruno Labbadia and much more. Thank you so much for staying tuned. You're still watching Game On. It's time to talk football now. And we start with the women's game. The Nigerian under-20 women's national team, the Falconets, suffered a narrow 1-0 defeat to Mexico in a friendly match in Bogota, Colombia today. The game saw Mexico take an early lead through Lomelis in the 10th minute. And this loss came after a positive start to their Colombian tour, where the Falconets had previously beaten Australia 2-1 in another friendly match. And these games are part of the Nigeria Football Federation strategy to strengthen the team before the upcoming 2024 FIFA Women's Under-20 World Cup in the same country. Nigeria is in Group D alongside Germany, Venezuela, and South Korea. The Falconets, who are finalists in 2010 and 2014, are scheduled to begin their tournament against South Korea on the 2nd of September at midnight Nigerian time, followed by a match against Germany on September the 4th. Well, gentlemen, I think one thing that I've learned over the last few years that a lot can be learned from losses.
Definitely.
Rather than wins. The same way you recall that Nigeria lost its final friendly match against Guinea at the just before the start of the 2024 FIFA, Africa Cup of Nations. But that loss pretty much set the tone for what the team was able to achieve subsequently at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah, definitely. And if I think about the Tigers as well. All their friendly games, they lost as well. That did not give me any
Atlanta
hope.
96, we also lost our friendly game.
Our last friendly match, we lost 3-1 by 3 goals to 1 in a packed house at the National Stadium. To Togo.
It seems to be our custom, but then when the tournament starts, we do perform well. But in particular, with this Under-20 World Cup that's coming close now, it's going to start very soon, we have a good record in it. So I'm not so worried about
And there
that.
is a sizable number of these players who have actually played for the senior women's national team.
Oh, yes, of course.
Does that add pressure on the coach and the players too, in the fact that, they're basically senior players?
No, it doesn't add any extra pressure.
Because you still have to go onto the pitch and perform.
Just go onto the pitch and perform. They've always been part of this team. So they've made a step up to the senior national team. Doesn't take them away from the fact that they've always been part of this team. So they just go out there and show their quality. I know the coach, Christopher Danjuma, very well. Very hardworking coach. I just hope that they will be able to go out there. For me, these age competitions, as is the case with the men, is how many of these players will eventually make the step up to the...
Now, as a follow-up to that, my takeaway from this, or my big talking point here is, who has got an eye on these girls? Thomas Dennerby is not coming back again, last time I checked, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yes, he's not coming back. So, who at that level...
Thomas Dennerby,
Randy Waldrum, sorry. Yeah, Randy Waldrum is not coming back. The question is, who at that level is taking a look at what is going to...
I think Justin Madugu has been mentioned as probably the next coach.
Madugu works with Randy Waldrum.
So.
He stepped in as caretaker coach when discussions were going on between Randy and the Federation. So I'm sure he's still very much in the mix.
We have a young call with the Super Falcons. That's why I saw the Olympics.
Ordinary, that should be the job of the technical department. But whether the technical department is functional is another issue.
Whether they are competent as well, that's a different
And whether the technical department actually even had any kind of input into the appointment of the new Super Eagles manager is also another issue. Yes, you heard me right. The Nigeria Football Federation have appointed Bruno Labbadia as the new head coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The 58-year-old striker's coaching career has spanned over 2 decades and is encompassed spells at the likes of Bayer Leverkusen, Hamburg, Stuttgart, Wolfsburg, Hertha Berlin. The Nigeria Football Federation confirmed Labbadia's appointment at 5:32 a.m. while good men slept.
5:24.
5:24, I beg your pardon. While good men slept.
That 5:24 was when the press release came out.
Oh, wow.
They type in...
Took another
let's say about 5 o'clock, 5 a.m.
Oh, wow. And so, anyway, he's going to be, the German becoming that, he's now becoming the 3rd head coach of Nigeria in 2024 alone. Of course, Jose Peseiro took the coach's team to the Africa Cup of Nations. He was succeeded by George Finidi, who resigned earlier, just barely over 2 months ago. And during his playing career, Labbadia was a fearsome striker, scoring over 200 goals across the top 2 divisions of German football, including a 3-season spell with Bayern Munich, with whom he won the Bundesliga in 1994. If you are young enough to have watched Football Made in Germany, which was a staple on Nigerian TV on NTA 2 Channel 5, you would have heard this name on your screen.
It was a super sub.
Labbadia.
It was a super sub.
Wally, let me start with you. First and foremost, the announcement. 5:32 a.m.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I said, when men slept. They know also that this was not a popular choice, and they just had to ease us into that story. But the most important thing here is that we finally have a coach. I think that's the only positive here, and I understand that his job is with immediate effect, so that means he will be the manager for the games against Benin Republic and Rwanda. I'm not too convinced about his precedence. I'm not too convinced about his pedigree. But it's like the 6th German that will be coaching the Super Eagles, right? And what do the Germans bring? They bring solidity. They bring organization. Yeah, and I'm hoping he can bring that. He is a relegation specialist.
Oh, good.
We are in the relegation zone.
Yes.
And World Cup qualifier.
So is he helping us, or is going to happen?
If he's a relegation specialist and we're in the relegation, then that means
so the work has made the man prepared for it.
So and when I mean the relegation specialist, I mean that he specializes in helping teams survive relegation.
Okay, all
so
right.
he can help us survive.
Then you have to coin it well.
Does he have
relegation survivor specialist?
Okay, but does he have the pedigree to help teams into promotion? We need promotion into the Africa Cup of Nations. We need promotion into the FIFA World Cup.
We need to survive relegation first of all. Okay, so let him do that one first.
Yeah. Okay, so your opinion of the appointment of Bruno Labbadia, good appointment?
It's difficult to say whether this is good or not. It's a function of time. But as Wale said, the Germans come with organization. So I hope if we can keep our team organized, maybe there will be hope for us. So it has a lot on his hands already. He's already behind schedule. We are playing in a couple of days, 2 crucial games. And he has to come into Nigeria as quickly as possible and start to work, because I don't know how much time he has to scout the opposition, to prepare his team, to understand the players, and all of that before those crucial games. He has to hit the ground running and get the result.
You actually worked with a German coach, if I recall.
Gernot Rohr.
So if, what should the players be expecting?
I don't know whether it's another Gernot Rohr. Gernot Rohr is a master in planning. He scouts anything scoutable.
I hear even scouts the ball boys and the corner flags.
Referees, in fact, during warm-up, when the teams are warming up, he has a way of psyching his team to know the intention of the other team. Even during warm-up, when they are just kicking the ball around.
Interesting.
The spirit behind the way you are kicking, whether you are fired up for the game or not, is able to sense it. So that's Gernot Rohr. He's a master planner. I don't know whether this man is in the same mold, but I hope he's in the same mold so that they can get our team organized, because we have the quality, we have the talent. What we lack is the leadership on the pitch. So if we can bring in organization and leadership to our team on the pitch, I wish him luck. I pray that he succeeds. His success is in our own interest.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to do all that we can for him.
To be honest, I'm not impressed. I think we have honestly, I think we have a track record of going from fry pan to fire. From Gernot Rohr, we went to Jose Peseiro.
But Peseiro got to the final of the AFCON.
He got to the final in a
but
very
left our World Cup
top
But he got there nonetheless.
Exactly.
That wasn't fire.
He got there nonetheless, but in terms of managing the team, I wasn't impressed with that at AFCON, right? And then we're going for someone who, number one, has no international experience in terms of coaching a country. You take a look at his track record as a fantastic player, by the way, during his playing career, but you take a look at his coaching record, and there's nothing fantastic. His longest stint was probably with Stuttgart, and he was just able to maintain them as a mid-level team. His last job, he got sacked in December because he left the team at last place in the Bundesliga.
Oh, yeah.
So, and he's going from team to team. His average tenure at teams is just 1 year because he doesn't help to elevate them at the level at which the team wants. So I'm not impressed in any way whatsoever. Fine, Gernot Rohr for me was different from the mid-level managers we've had in recent years. He was able to get a hold of the team and make us look solid, in my own opinion. But for me, Peseiro was a no-no. And talking about Labadia right now, I'm not really optimistic.
Please, I would like to add and say that in as much as I'm happy we have a coach, I'm not happy with the process. See, last week, there was Jan Anderson, it was Avi Reina, and suddenly this guy comes into play. And it tells you something. The approach was scattergun. This is not. This is not by.
The NFF never came out to say they were talking to Anderson. They never came out to say they were talking to
Jan Anderson came out and said, we read that statement here.
Hold on. Anderson was the one who came out. The NFF never said they did.
The man came out. What are we waiting for?
No, let him make his point. Because
nothing stops them from talking to multiple candidates. Those were the candidates you knew about. They could have been speaking to
I am only saying, my thoughts here, my thought process here is, when we want to make an appointment like this, we don't have a sense of direction. Okay, this coach, what is the philosophy we want him to bring? We went with a Swedish who has a different philosophy. We were linked to Averina who has a different philosophy. Now we've come to a German. Can we say for once that this is the way we want our football to be played through this manager?
I think all of you have mentioned the fact that he brings organization.
I know he does bring that. But the last German we had was Gernot Rohr. We had gone Iberian with Jose Peseiro. From that Iberian peninsula, we now came back with George Finidi. It gives like we don't have a sense of direction.
I understand what you're saying.
I get your point. But the first point is availability. It's not about the region. Availability and affordability.
Thank you.
So when you are at the mercy of availability and affordability, your chances are limited to.
But you know that if sometimes when you go for the cheapest,
looking for a Dutch.
Sometimes when you go for the cheapest option, you end up still ditching that option.
But you know one thing about the search for a foreign coach. I mean, I've said this so many times. You could get a very expensive coach and not get the results. You may get an average coach who has failed in so many other places and he comes and he gets the results.
Very true.
That's the irony of
the best coaches in the
basically
world
it's
are
like Russia.
expensive.
Actually,
See,
Russia.
the best coaches in the world
But gentlemen,
are expensive.
we actually
Definitely.
have to move on very quickly, very quickly. Captain William Troost Ekong, wingback Ola Aino, and forwards Victor Osimhen and Taiwo Awoniyi are back in the Super Eagles squad for next month's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Benin Republic and Rwanda. This year's AFCON's man of the match, player of the tournament, Ekong, was not called up for match day 3 and 4, the FIFA FIFA 2026 World Cup qualifying race in June, as was recovering from an injury. Don't forget, he has since moved to Al Kholoud in Saudi Arabia, a newly promoted team. Ola Aino, Awoniyi, and reigning African Player of the Year Victor Osimhen were also out injured as well, but they are back in the team. The squad also includes 3 goalkeepers, including AFCON 2023 star Stanley Nwabali, 7 defenders, 6 midfielders, and 7 forwards as well. Benin Insurance goalkeeper Anas Obasogie also returns, as well as South Africa-based defender Olisa Nda. Let's quickly take a look at the list coming up on your screen. It's very clear. Stanley Nwabali from Chippa United, Maduka Okoye from Udinese joins as well, and there's also Amas Obasogie from Benin Insurance.
Is Amas Obasogie still at Insurance?
No, he's gone to Ethiopia.
I think he's
gone to
Kenema.
Yeah, he's gone to Ethiopia.
Kenema, that's right.
Okay.
So he's moved to Ethiopia as well. So as of the time of this
So for
list,
those who like to talk about home-based players in the team,
he's not an home-based player. So defenders include William Troost Ekong from Al Kholoud in Saudi Arabia, Bright Osai Samuel from Fenerbahce, Olisa Nda from Orlando Pirates, Bruno Yemachi from Boavista, Semi Ajayi from West Bromwich Albion, Calvin Bassey from Fulham, Ola Aino from Nottingham Forest in England. Excuse me. Midfielders Wilfred Ndidi, Raphael Oyendika from Club Brugge, Alassane Youssouf from New England Revolution. Recall he's left his Belgian club and moved to the MLS. Fisayo Dele Bashir from Lazio, Frank Onyeka from Brentford, and Alex Iwobi from Fulham. Forwards are Samuel Chukwueze from AC Milan, Victor Osimhen from, do we still say Napoli?
For now,
Napoli.
player.
Kelechi Iheanacho from Sevilla, Victor Boniface from Bayer Leverkusen, Moses Simon, who scored over the weekend for FC Nantes, by the way, Ademola Lookman from Atalanta, and Taiwo Awoniyi from Nottingham Forest. Gentlemen, I think it's very clear to say that this list was not chosen by Bruno Labbadia.
Of course. He knows next to nothing about it.
The reason why his announcement came earlier in the day and then the list came out after is probably because we want a semblance of order so that you don't have a list where is the manager.
Or you're trying to avoid heat from Nigeria.
Yeah, so you announce the manager and then you announce the list. But definitely this wasn't the list by... and that's where my worry is, how much time does he have to know the players, to understand the players? So he still needs a lot of input from those who drew up this list and the Nigerians who have worked with the team. It needs a lot of support from the... to understand exactly...
The press release and also the tweet never mentioned anything about the Nigerian assistants who work with him. Goalkeeper trainer, nothing was said about that. Yeah. Nobody said anything about it. Hold on, Wale. Then there's also the issue regarding the proper things being done. Will we get a proper unveiling of this coach? Will we get a proper ceremony?
You are talking about the optics here. Look, let's talk about the nitty-gritty. Who's working with him?
That hasn't been announced yet. But I would have thought the proper press release would have that.
Has a contract been signed? Does he have a contract?
Oh, yes. If he hasn't, then now they have announced.
Well, that's not the first time. We've seen coaches who left.
I don't know whether he has signed yet, but there must have been an agreement in place. Okay. He must have read through, his lawyers have read through, and there must have been some level of agreement. There will probably still be a few I's to be dotted, a few T's to be crossed, and all of that.
So why didn't they wait to dot the I's and cross the T's before making the announcement to him?
There's a lot of pressure. Because the games were coming in, the players had to be drawn up.
Less than 14 days till our first fixture.
See, I think what the Nigerian Football Federation should do is the Nigerian team, the Nigerian coaches that have worked with the core of these players should still be there for these 2 games.
Finidi?
No. I'm not talking of Finidi. I'm talking of goalkeeper coach. I'm talking of the other guys who were...
You know what? To further buttress
definitely
I think we need to put something in perspective. To further buttress how lackadaisical the NFF is, Finidi's last match was in May. What month are we in right now? This is August. Less than 14 days till our first fixture. I think that just goes to show you the kind of federation that we have at this point in time.
By the
federation
way,
or not-
Asai Samuel
well,
might be missing. I think
Because he got injured.
Yeah.
He didn't play the last weekend.
Victor Osimhen did not even have a good preseason.
Osimhen has not played
Or rather,
enough
did not even
football.
have any
Ademola
preseason.
Lookman too has he's
So,
not been playing for a
basically,
while.
Bruno Labbadia has his hands full getting a
Definitely.
competitive squad available for that first game against the mighty squirrels of Benin Republic, or cheetahs as I like to call them.
Particularly when you understand the person
He's facing.
is facing.
Yes. Moving on very quickly, still news coming out of Nigeria football. Former Rivers United captain and 2022 MPFL champion Yima Wagwa has arrived in Saudi Arabia to complete his move to second division club Al Sadd. Wagwa, who played a crucial role in Rivers United's successful campaign in the Nigeria Professional Football League in 2022, was warmly received on his arrival at the King Khalid International Airport in Riyadh, where he was received by Mohammed Abu Seri, the supervisor of the Al Sadd first team. The move is the 31-year-old's first contract with a foreign club, and he's the second Nigerian football star to move to the kingdom in the last 1 week, following the movement of Super Eagles vice captain William Troost Ekong, who joined newly promoted Premier League side Al Kholoud. And very quickly, let's still talk about Nigerian football. There was a story that came over the weekend regarding Nicholas Jackson, and of course our very own Mikel Obi, former Chelsea and Nigeria international John Mikel Obi. Well, he delivered a response to Nicholas Jackson, declaring that keep scoring and I'll shut up. And this all comes over the comments. The comment comes after the recent tensions between both men. Of course, Nicholas Jackson has been pilloried and actually even
rightly so.
Actually, even really criticized by a lot of players, including John Mikel Obi. And he took to social media after scoring over the weekend, telling John Mikel Obi to shut up. But I'm not so comfortable. I'm not so comfortable with Mikel's conduct as a pundit these days. I think it's a bit too harsh.
It's part of what you need to do to generate the eyeballs.
It's part of the package. Yeah, it's the package.
If you were a United player, what do you
Let's take a quick listen to what John Mikel Obi was saying.
Like the guy's a football player. I like him. There's something there as a football player. I haven't said that he's a bad player at all. I've just said that his finishing qualities, it's not there yet.
It's a young boy.
It's a young boy, exactly. And all I've said is that he needs a more kind of experienced striker to come into the football club to help him. To help him improve, to help him get better. And because we all can see the shift he puts in, week out. So for me, I would like to see my African brother, like he said, do well in the Premier League, come to Chelsea, a big club, a massive club, where we've had one of the greatest strikers in Didier Drogba from Africa, Ivory Coast, did really well. I'd like to see him do well as well, in the club. So for me, I will not be, if he plays well, I will praise him. If there is something to be said about him where he needs to improve, I will definitely say it. And, listen, if he scores every week and tells me to shut up, I'll take that,
Well, Nicholas Jackson wasn't particularly pleased with John Mikel Obi.
He's not said anything over the top. Yeah.
No, but it's fair. If you are playing for a big club like Chelsea, you should expect.
I know what Jackson has done. He has set himself up badly.
Because he has to be scoring.
Because Jackson is a player who I know is going to struggle this weekend against Crystal Palace. No, it is. We can see it.
We see it.
I can't see
He's
it.
not a consistent striker. I know he did about 70 goals in all comps last season, but he divided opinion.
So is that him or a question of...
How many goals last season?
Is that 14,
14, yeah, in all competition.
14 in the league, 14 in the league.
The best way to shut Mikel up is by scoring every weekend. Not that you go out there.
It's not possible to score every weekend, but
And he's not there yet.
score
Be
consistently.
Not there
Be
yet.
consistent.
He has a lot of.
But personally, I think we've had a great show. I don't know about you. But personally, I think we've had a great show. Unfortunately, don't want to shut you up, but we really have to go. Thank you very much for coming through, Okwe Adebari, Toyin Bitoye, and as well. And of course, Mr.
You need to get an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah. And you were asking me earlier on does Mikel like Nicholas Jackson? I don't know about, but I definitely don't like you. So that's also on record as well. To the people behind the scenes, thank you so much for making this possible. But before we go, let's say that today is the 72nd birthday of a bona fide Nigerian football legend. Happy birthday to Oluwasegun Patrick Odegbami, 72 years old. He's still looking very sharp. Of course, you remember him, won the 1980 Africa Cup of Nations here with Nigeria. Had probably the best Nigerian player who never played outside Nigeria. I spoke to him once. He said he even had offers from the likes of Tottenham Hotspur. But you know, it was a great time in this country. The naira to the pound was pretty much equal. He had
The naira was even stronger.
He had businesses. He was, well, why do I want to go to the English cold? And you know, he played his entire career in Nigeria, and he has no regrets. That one I can tell you. Happy birthday to Chief
A genuine
Segun
living
Odebami,
legend.
a proper, genuine, bona fide Nigerian sporting legend. And that's all we have for you on today's show. Game On makes a return tomorrow. My name is Babatunde Kweki, wishing you a wonderful night.